Three people, let's start the meeting. Oh, get 2 more minutes, I'm sorry. Actually, 2 more minutes.
We have 2.
The clock roll.
We have to wait on IT and our SGTV people. Okay, folks, we're going to get started with the afternoon session here on January 9th, 2024 of the Board of County Commission meeting here in Seminole County. I would remind everybody to silence your electronic devices, any other equipment you might have, so it doesn't interfere with any of the speakers or presenters. We'd appreciate that. We have a rather short agenda this afternoon. We're going to try to get everybody out of here by 3 o'clock because of the inclement weather that is fast approaching, and our thoughts and prayers are with our friends in Bay County that took extreme damage just a short time ago, and looks like our friends in the St. Augustine area are now under the gun as well. So I would ask my fellow commissioners, anything you can brief your reports on would be appreciative. If not, I don't want to short circuit the process, but anything we can do to expedite matters, we're going to attempt to try to do that. So we're going to get started with
Make a motion to accept and approve publication.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Ms. LaTorre, would you read the rules of public engagement, please?
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision and quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent, substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, that is presented by county staff, that the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes. Chairman?
Thank you, Ms. LaTorre. We appreciate it. First item is item 2023-1404, Advanced Auto Body Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment. Annie Silloway will be presenting. And for those who are here, if you desire to speak, fill one of these out in the lobby and get it up to Dominic with her hand raised here. If you don't want to speak but you want to comment, fill out the green form, give it to Dominic, and she'll make sure that we get a copy of it to put into the record. So thank you. Ms. Silloway, please proceed.
Hi, good afternoon. Annie Silloway, Senior Planner with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to industrial to correct the inconsistency between the commercial future land use and M1 industrial zoning district. The site is currently developed under M1 industrial zoning classification as an auto body shop. Upon preliminary review of a proposed site plan application for an additional covered structure, staff determined that the existing commercial future land use is inconsistent with the existing M1 industrial zoning classification. Prior to approval of additional development, the future land use must be brought into compliance. Staff finds the existing development of an auto body shop to be consistent with the M1 industrial zoning designation, and the requested industrial future land use is compatible with the Seminole County comprehensive plan, seeing that the site accesses onto an urban arterial road and is surrounded by industrial future land uses. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on December 6, 2023, and voted unanimously to adopt the request enacting a small-scale future land use map amendment. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the proposed ordinance enacting a small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to industrial for approximately 0.62 acres located on the west side of South Ronald Reagan Boulevard, approximately a half a mile south of North Street. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Silloway. Any comments or inquiries by the board? Stay close. Thank you very much. Is the applicant here and desire to make any statements? If so, please come up. None? Okay. Dominic, do we have anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this?
No, sir.
I'll close public comment and go to the board. This is Commissioner Lockhart's district.
Well, unless there are any questions from board members, I'm prepared to make a motion to adopt the proposed ordinance enacting a small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to industrial for approximately .62 acres on the west side of South Ronald Reagan Boulevard, approximately 1/2 mile south of North Street.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item up is item 20.
Mr. Chairman, I just want you to know I filed all my ex parte
Oh,
on all
Thank
these
you.
things.
Yes.
catch, yes.
Same here.
I had none.
I had none.
I had none.
Next item is item 22, 2023-1403, Land Development Code Rewrite and Associated Comprehensive Plan Amendments. Rebecca Hammack will be presenting.
Yes, good afternoon. For the record, Rebecca Hammack, Development Services Director. This is the second reading of the ordinance amending the Land Development Code and the adoption hearing for the associated comprehensive plan amendments. We're requesting that the board consider the second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, Chapter 5, Administration, Chapter 35, Subdivision, Chapter 40, Site Plan Approval, Chapter 60, Arbor, Chapter 80, Construction, and repeal and replace Chapter 2, Definitions, and repeal and replace Chapter 30, Zoning. All those chapters are contained within the Seminole County Land Development Code, and we're asking the board to consider adoption of the ordinance amending the introduction and future land use elements of the comprehensive plan. So this is where we are in the process. We are at the second reading of the ordinance and the adoption hearing of the ordinance amending the comprehensive plan. The first reading of the ordinance was on October 24th, 2023. And so we did not receive any objections or any comments from the state and regional review agencies for the associated comprehensive plan amendments. So we're bringing those back for adoption in conjunction with the Land Development Code. So as you know, we've been at this for several years now, and the goals of this particular rewrite were to address items that were affecting day-to-day operations, create more efficiency in working with applicants and the public, to better implement the comprehensive plan. And also, we proposed targeted updates to address previously identified topics of concern. The effort also modernized and reorganized the zoning regulations chapter, and we updated references to county agencies and titles and corrected typos and added and deleted definitions where they were no longer applicable. So as part of the Land Development Code rewrite, we added new regulations or new standards, and we also revised some existing standards. So some of the new standards that we included in this Land Development Code update were the mixed-use corridor. We created that zoning district to be consistent with the future land use, the mixed future land use zoning or future land use designation. We created the missing middle zoning designation. We incorporated solar energy system regulations. We created the civic assembly use standards, and we incorporated tree planting requirements for subdivisions. Some additional new standards include mobile food vendors, parking garage standards, EV and EV-ready parking standards, and bicycle parking standards. Some of the revised standards we revised the affordable housing RAH zoning district. We revised the arbor regulations and related standards. We incorporated Florida-friendly landscaping standards, and we also made amendments to the rural non-residential design standards, and we reduced minimum living area requirements in some of the zoning districts. Other standards that we revised included construction hours in Chapter 80, outdoor lighting, and we also clarified arbor regulations in the Wekiva River Protection Area. We also made updates to the open space regulations. We amended the definition of cluster subdivision. We clarified cluster subdivision requirements in the Wekiva River Protection Area, and we created consistency between the definition of developable area and net developable acreage. So we reorganized Chapter 30. That's why we did a complete repeal and replace for Chapter 30. But most items within the zoning code remained the same. We did try to remove repetition. We consolidated same or similar items, and we also incorporated the use of tables. So we did replace the pyramid structure of zoning and now have a use table incorporated. So based on that, staff is requesting that the board adopt upon second reading an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, Chapter 5, Administration, Chapter 35, Subdivisions, Chapter 40, Site Plan Approval, Chapter 60, Arbor, and Chapter 80, Construction, and repeal and replace Chapter 2, Definitions, and Chapter 30, Zoning of the Seminole County Land Development Code, and adopt an ordinance amending the introduction and future land use elements of the comprehensive plan. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hammack. Any inquiries by the board? Mr. Constantine?
Just to put it on the record, and we've gone through this process, but we can change any of these at any particular time. We're just going to go through I just want for the record.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not a one-time deal.
Absolutely. It's a living document. It can be changed at any time. If we recognize there's a need to make changes or change things back, we can certainly do that.
Great.
Great. Any other inquiries? Seeing none, hang tight. Dominic, do we have any public speakers?
We do. We have two. First will be Gray Wilson and then George Sellery.
If you gentlemen would be so kind to go ahead and line up, and we'll try to get you through here as quick as we can.
Gray Wilson, 5044 Shoreline Circle, Sanford, here representing Friends of the Wekiva. I'm on the board of directors. I want to thank the commission for listening throughout this process, working with our attorney, getting the language in there, and especially to Rebecca Hammack, who responds very quickly and for clarity, and really appreciate being part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Mr. Sellery?
George Sellery, 5231 Shoreline Circle in Sanford. I wanted to, first of all, say Happy New Year. It's the first time I've seen you guys since last year. I also want to say I've been in county government for decades. This is the hardest working staff. Development Services and their group, they have more pressure on them. Developer, residents, commission, everybody is trying to get their ear, and they do a magnificent job of what they've accomplished over the last 3 years with so many meetings, so much time spent with so many people. I'm just amazed at everything they've accomplished. Mary Moskovitz, I want to throw a shout out to her. I know she's no longer here, but she was a good point of contact for a lot of us. I just wanted to say that as we've been doing this, quality of life has been number one. That is the number one factor. I used to work a lot with University of Florida, BEBR, and they tell you population is based on the past. It doesn't look at how much land is available. They may sit there and say we can have 2 million people here in 25 years, but they don't know how much land we're looking at and stuff like that. Or if we have saltwater intrusion, or if we have wetlands issues and stuff like that. So I like how the new land development code focuses on neighborhood and residential. I try and tell people all the time, apartments are not permanent housing. Most people, when you ask them, do not insist that they're going to live in an apartment for the rest of their life. I just came back from visiting my family in California in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I left a long time ago. There's no developers left because there is nothing left. There's nothing left to develop. There is, I mean, it is unbelievable. It should be a field trip for everybody to go see what happens when everything is plowed over and there's nothing left except for a beach with 500,000 cars trying to get to it. Only ones left are the residents and commissioners and city commissioners and county. So I want to thank you for what you've done. I have fought in here with everybody at points and times about our neighborhoods, our communities, in our district, about keeping that the way it is now with the residential feel, the C1 residential that we have all around us and stuff, and putting things where it belongs within the PDs and the things that we have. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all the time you've spent for the last couple of years of your life doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Any other speaker forums on this matter?
No, sir.
We'll close public input and move to the board. Commissioner Constantine, you're recognized.
Yes, I'll move approval of Land Development Code rewrite and associated comprehensive plan amendments.
Second.
Got a motion and a second by Commissioner Herr. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, carries unanimously. Next item up is our county attorney's report.
Thank you.
Round of applause for.
Thanks, staff.
Thank you all.
Chairman, I have no report today.
Fantastic, we love you. Next one is county manager's report.
Oh, you do love me. I just have a brief presentation, though, right? As Mr. Jex comes up to the podium, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, as we start kicking off the budget process for this next fiscal year, I thought it was important to bring up to the board and to the public to let you all know on a quarterly basis where we are and what the status of our revenue and expenditures are. You will be able to see this once our dashboards are up and running, and that's going to be very soon. But I wanted Mr. Jex just to inform you where we are both on our revenue expenditures on the first quarter, and this, I promise you, will be brief. So with that, Mr. Jex.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Timothy Jex with the Office of Management and Budget. We are going to do a quick update of the first quarter revenues and expenditures. I'd just like to start out by mentioning that the first quarter is 25% of the year, but a lot of our revenues come in delayed, so it's not expected that we're going to see exactly 25% of our revenues and expenditures for each category. So today we're going to go over major revenues, base budget expenditures, personnel lapse, and a note on project budgets. So the largest revenue in our general fund is countywide ad valorem property taxes. Through the first 3 months of the year, we have received full 3 months of collections. We've received $205 million, which is 88% of our budget of $232 million. For this revenue, it's anticipated that we do receive most of our money by December because taxpayers receive a discount for prepayment. Next, we have our half-cent sales tax revenue. This is the second largest revenue in the general fund. This money is collected by the Florida Department of Revenue as part of the statewide 6% sales tax collections. It's distributed back to the counties. As of this report, we have 1 month of collections at $2.5 million. That's 8% of our $32.8 million budget. So for this revenue, we are trending right alongside of the budget.
And Mr. Jex, tell them this is not to be confused with the 1 cent sales tax, so just to let the public know.
Yep, this is a half cent as part of the state's 6% collection. The county also levies an additional 1 cent discretionary surtax. This is in the general fund. Next, we have a general fund revenue. It's our utility taxes. This is collected as a percentage of our power bills, natural gas bills, and water bills. We have 2 months of collection totaling $1.5 million, which is 17% of our $8.8 million FY24 budget. So this revenue is trending right alongside of the budget. Next, we have state shared taxes. This is also part of the statewide 6% collection. We've received 3 months collection in the first quarter, totaling $3.5 million. This is 24% of our $14.4 million budget. This revenue is also trending right alongside of the budget. Next, we have communication service taxes. This is in our general fund. We have 1 month collection totaling $400,000, which is 7% of our $5.6 million budget. This is trending very close to the budget. Next, we have gas taxes. This supports our roads, traffic, and mass transit services. We have 1 month of collection totaling $1,480,000, which is 10% of our $15 million budget. So we're trending slightly ahead of the budget in this case. And our final revenue is our tourism taxes. We've received 1 month collection totaling $530,000. It's 8% of our $6.5 million budget, right in line with the budget. So this slide shows our base budget expenditures. This excludes projects, debt services, and interfund transfers. Total countywide base budgets are $518 million. For the first quarter, we spent $144 million, which is 27.8% of our budget. You'll see that the constitutional officers is trending slightly ahead of the budget. This is anticipated. It's due to the sheriff having 1 additional draw in the first quarter and the tax collector's transfer being recorded as a percentage of ad valorem taxes. It's anticipated that parks, public works, and environmental services will spend more of their budget in the summer months, so you shouldn't expect to see through the first quarter that they would be right at that 25%. Part of our base budget also includes personnel expenditures. So we track very closely personnel lapse in the budget office. It's too early to talk about FY24 lapse, but we did want to give a snapshot of how FY23 ended. Almost all of the county FTEs fall within one of these 6 funds. In the general fund, we had an FY23 personnel budget of $52 million. We actually expended $49.8 million, which left $2.6 million lapse, or 5%. The countywide personnel budget of $156 million had a $6.7 million lapse, or 4.3%. And then finally, we are currently working on our FY24 project carry forward BAR, which is scheduled to be presented to the board next meeting on January 23rd. And at that time, we'll be able to provide some more information on how our projects are looking. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jex. I sincerely appreciate it. Any questions by the board members? Commissioner Lockhart.
I actually just have one comment.
And Commissioner Delary.
Mr. Jex mentioned that our gas taxes support transportation, and I would just say our gas taxes are a drop in the bucket towards supporting transportation and roads. And just because I think it's worth noting that a lot of these taxes that we collect do not come close to funding the actual needs that they support. And so we often, and I see the county manager nodding his head, we supplement with our general fund ad valorem dollars a great portion of the things that these other taxes are supposed to fund. And I don't want to get into a deep discussion about that now, but I think moving forward, that's something this board is going to have to, pull up our bootstraps and have some candid conversations about. That's my 2 cents.
And Commissioner Constantine's not allowed to talk about the gas taxes. He doesn't use any gas. Commissioner Delary, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do appreciate you, and I understand your statement. I agree with that statement. So, Tim, if you can...
Hybrid, I have a hybrid. I have to fill it up every 3 months.
He pays the utility tax, right, with the electric.
Tim, if you look at the tourism tax for October from year to year, we're actually lower fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 23. We're down by about $140,000. Is there a reason behind that?
My understanding is that the FY23 October collection was reflective of more people coming to Florida. I think if you look at the prior years, you see FY22, 422,000. So I think it was really more of a reflection of the beginning of FY23 being ahead of where we normally are. I do have that revenue marked, the report you're looking at, as a high variance revenue.
Well, the reason I'm doing that is because when I look at the gas tax from year to year and month to month is actually almost $200,000 higher than last year. And so I would have thought that tourism gas tax would somewhat go hand in hand. And I know that, I just want to see what the correlation is. So I'm hoping you have some additional information you can share with us at a later date.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Herr?
I think it's fabulous that this is going to end up on a dashboard.
Amen.
I knew the dashboard would come up.
Amen. Well, thank you very much. Good work. The only thing I would ask and request, if it's not too much, you know me, I'd like to see a percentage change comparison to the previous fiscal year. That would be helpful, I think, for all of us to understand where we're at trending as compared to historically the previous year.
We have that.
Extra.
We can provide that.
So anyway, thank you very much. Dominique, do we have anybody here that wants to speak in regards to this item?
No, sir.
Good, we'll close that public comment then. Next item up is District Commissioner reports. Commissioner Herr.
I have nothing to report other than the fact that I did attend the Animal Control Board meeting in Alan's absence, and it was a pleasure to be there with our volunteers and share my appreciation for all of the work that they do. Not only that group, but our team, as well as the volunteers that came there, and we actually acted upon one of those today. So I appreciate you guys, we all appreciate you, and that's all I have to report.
And thank you very much for that, for being there, on behalf of the board and in your office. Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of appointments. We'd like to make a motion to include 5 individuals. Reappointment of Don Peterson to the Code Enforcement Board for a 3-year term beginning January 1, 2024. Reappointment of Sheba West of the Library Advisory Board for a 2-year term beginning January 1, 24. And Stephen Smith, who I appointed last meeting, had to resign due to a conflict. So I'd like to appoint Brandy Iapola to our Planning and Zoning Board for a 4-year term beginning January 1, 2024, and Cindy Hartkin to our Park and Rec Preservation Board for a 2-year term beginning January 1, 2024. And just for clarification, in the earlier form that we put out, we spelled Ms. Iapola's name wrong, but we're correcting it in the submissions. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Continue, Commissioner Laurie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last Metro Plan Orlando meeting, we did get a handout of the top 30 high-injury network roads designations for Seminole, Orange, and Osceola County. I'm going to be asking our staff to send it out to you all if you haven't gotten it yet, so please expect that. And then I did, as the alternate to Calano, go to the last Calano meeting, and at the end of the meeting, a couple of the mayors or individuals from the different cities asked about what we were doing with the funding that we're getting from the opioids. And I assured them that our county manager will be speaking to their city managers. And so they're all interested in that, and they're all trying to figure out how we can all partner together. So I would expect at a later date an update from our county manager, Mr. Gray.
Yes, thank you. And actually, the chairman and I have a mayor-managers meeting next week, and that is on our agenda to discuss.
Great.
Right in the middle of my hunting season, by the way. I got to come all the way back for that and then turn around and go all the way back.
Good hunting.
If only you had Wi-Fi out there.
Right on. I'm with you.
And I know
There's a
you're looking
government
forward to your
program for
electric
that.
car that you're getting, right?
No.
And then, Mr. Chairman, this past weekend, I did Saturday and Sunday go to the ECNL girls' games on Saturday and Sunday, and it was truly amazing to see how we've had this event for so many years at the Lake Silden area and Seminole Soccer, and because of the rain, at a moment's notice that night before, they had to switch to Boomba over by the airport. And to move an event of this size and magnitude at a late hour to Boomba was truly not only monumental, but amazing. And to go there on Saturday, and everyone was just so thankful that we had this facility with all the artificial turf, and they were amazed about how our staff did all this. No complaining, obviously, but with no hitches. It was flawless. And they were thankful that we were able to save the fields because of all the rain. And then on Sunday, our staff switched it back to Lake Silden and Orlando Soccer, which is another big feat. I went back over there, and they were truly amazed. And then to walk our fields, if you have to go out there to see the fields. Our staff has done such a phenomenal job on this event and also the field preparation. There's a gentleman out there, Dominic. I believe that he truly deserves, if there is such an award, for the Edward Scissorhands of manicuring the grass. It's truly amazing what he's done in his team. It almost looked like they photoshopped it. You got to go out there to see it. That's how beautiful these fields look. I couldn't believe it until I actually went out there and looked at it. Seeing it from afar, it just doesn't do it justice.
You're perseverating.
What?
You're perseverating.
No.
It was great.
It was amazing. You got to take, I mean, they did such a good job. That's the reason why I'm.
It's amazing.
It's wild. And the staff, all of them should be commended on the hard work that they did. And also, Mr. Chairman, at the earlier today, you did talk about the Wekiva Island Winter Wonderland.
Yes.
I was out there myself. To see what they did with Santa's workshop was truly Disney-ish.
And to see somebody stole on the video camera Santa Claus's driver's license. Can you believe that?
Well, they were lucky enough that they were able to file for another one, so Santa didn't get stopped.
Perfect.
And so he was able to,
The Grinch was very active. Huh?
the event was very active. But yes, they did have that on video, but
Amazing.
truly amazing. End of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Delory. Commissioner Constantine.
Thank you very much. Since somebody else mentioned it, I'll mention it because I know most of us will be out there. I'm looking forward to the Scottish Highlands Games, weather permitting, this week. I know that certain commissioners get very dressed up for it, and future or past commissioners did also. I hope that John Horan does not come in his kilts. But what I did hear is that there is a rumor that Darren Gray is coming in his kilts, so we're looking at...
Not happening?
We can fix that.
I have a couple.
Also, I am very much looking forward to the historic new Fire Station 11 opening up on the 19th. That was, if anybody did not know, the first station that went with consolidation with Seminole County, helping us be the Class 1 that we are today when we merged with Altamont Springs way back when, and I am very excited about seeing that, and I know that our firefighters are too, and talking to them, so we'll see that on the 19th. The 17th is the Florida Association of Counties Legislative Day. I don't know if any of you others are coming. Commissioner Lockhart usually does, and I will be there. And just so you know, it is the first day of the legislative session today, so let's lock up all the doors for the next 60 days. Hopefully everything will be all right, but I do want to let you know a couple of things that you need to know, or that I found. Number one, there is a bill, Senate Bill 1184, that concerns the rural boundary that we need to be looking at, and I know that Tricia and the county manager have already discussed that, and that there is a good thing. There is a glitch bill going through today at 4 o'clock up at the Community Affairs Committee concerning the Live Local Act, which is going to be an improvement for a lot of the concerns that we had, industrial, height, and a few other things like that, so that's pretty good. One thing that we do have to worry about is an alternative mobility fee, that also a bill that has been filed. I want to thank personally Commissioner Delory for taking my place at the Cowno. I will talk to them about the opioid also, but I was on a family vacation, and I really appreciate you taking care of that for me. And with that, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Constantine. Commissioner Lockhart.
All right. I had an opportunity to work with the county attorney's office talking about the canvassing board. There was a question about the timing, and with this being in 2024, would the chairman be allowed to have me continue to serve on the canvassing board for the presidential preference election in March, even though I plan on actively supporting Amy Pennock and potentially others for supervisor of elections on the August 2024 ballot. So the question was, if I'm supporting someone publicly in 2024, could I still serve on the presidential preference primary in March? And the answer was yes, because the way that the law is written, it is that you cannot be actively supporting someone on the ballot which you are canvassing. So I wanted to throw that out there for the purpose also of publicly putting everyone on notice that I will not be able to serve in August. And so the chairman will have to start the process of finding whatever that process is, and working with the county attorney's office to get someone else to serve in that role for 24 because of my decision to support someone on that ballot.
Perfect. Thank you for your willingness to serve up to the point you can.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
Happy to do it. It's been quite a learning experience, and I appreciate the opportunity. WOW Fiber Optics, wow. Thank you to our team members who are continuing to try to work with them. They continue to wreak havoc in my district, and the types of damage that is being done, water lines being torn up, and then roads failing because of the water. It's just an absolute disaster. So anything that we can do to reach out to their, and I know Mr. Swenson has been working with them, trying to get things together, but we're still really struggling with them. Commissioner Constantine mentioned the Scottish Highland Games. Would love to have you all out and have a wee dram together. And the weather, I think, will be a perfect Scottish, cool misty, rainy day, so it'll be in theme. I will be attending the FACT Legislative Conference, as Commissioner Constantine mentioned. The other item that I just wanted to bring to your attention, and I think all of you received this letter, but it did not make its way into submissions, came from a resident of my district talking about the YMCA, that is the J. Douglas Williams Y on Longwood Lake Mary Road. And I am going to give this to the clerk so it can be included in submissions, because I think, first of all, it was sent to all of us, but also because we are going to be in these situations regularly now where community members think that when something private decides to close, that it will be the government's responsibility to buy it and keep it open or repurpose it in some way, shape, or form. And I will acknowledge that this their pool, they have a joint use agreement with the Lake Mary High School swim team that is used for practices for them. So there is a public purpose currently being served there, and I have a meeting set up this week or next week with executive team members of this Y and Amy Pennock, who it's also her school board district, to talk about what the ramifications could be and what options there may be. So I will let you all know how that meeting goes. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Lockhart. I appreciate it very much. I will join my district in my chairman's report and trying to be brief here. The first thing I need to do is make an appointment of Andre F. Hickman to the Tourism Development Board in replacement of Jamie Ross, who's termed out at the end of last year. That's a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Seeing none, motion carries. I want to remind everybody that we have, the county will be closed on January 15th, which is Martin Luther King Day. There are several parades taking place in Oviedo as well as the city of Sanford. We encourage everybody to get out there and enjoy those festivities. There's a lot of other things going on in the community for that whole week, actually, for Martin Luther King's birthday. Of course, the Fire Station 11 has been mentioned already. The time of that event is 10 a.m. on January 19th. It'll be 2721 South Ronald Reagan Boulevard. I won't get into it too much, but I'm going to bring up a topic that I will ask staff to vet through each of your offices, and this has to do with proclamations being perhaps placed on the consent agenda for some, and others, like Veterans of the Month, will actually do a proclamation, take pictures, all that. So I would ask that staff visit with my fellow commissioners, get their understanding what they would like to see, and let's put it in the code or put something in there so it carries forward. Outside of that, I have nothing more. I do want to talk about WOW real quick. I've also been in contact with Wide Open West Internet Company. There's some issues going on in my district right now because of some of the things that have been going on in the news media and social media. I think our staff is on top of all of this, but I've actually looked into this more than I really care to because of the activity that's going on. And what I've learned is there certainly have been mistakes made by the vendor and their subcontractors, but there's also problems with the marking of the lines. The locator services, who are a third party to come in and mark lines, have, for whatever reason, not always marked them right. We've also discovered in other parts of the county and certain cities, there's no historic documentation of where certain infrastructure actually is. So where they thought it was is really where it's not. But at the end of the day, I've spoken to the CEO at WOW, and they've assured me that they will take care of each and every problem, put it back the way it's supposed to be. If they continue to have any problems, staff has their contact information to speak directly to the CEO.
Right, and they have recently, and I've heard from all of your officers about different issues that we've had with them, and I really appreciate you reaching out and pushing it, because now we do have a good point of contact now, so if there are issues that a resident is having, that they are being very responsive and getting those taken care of.
Yeah. So we appreciate you all taking care of that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
We had a similar situation years ago, and it was actually resolved because we required them to do a lot of hand digging. And that actually took place when they did the major upgrade for the Snockwater system.
Well, that may be an option, but I don't know, going that kind of distance hand digging might be...
Oh, they did a couple of miles.
Right.
We're talking about just Stockwater. It was
Commissioner
several miles.
Constantine.
Thank you, and I think because my district is probably the most mature and has, a lot of consolidation as far as locations and some nice neighborhoods, as we all have nice neighborhoods, you know that, but has nice neighborhoods. They started there, and they started moving north. And I got to tell
Wait a
you...
minute, the nice neighborhood started in your district and started moving north?
And then they started moving north.
WOW started moving north.
WOW started moving north. Okay, we're going to have a fun time. I'm trying to get out of here fast, okay? So I got to tell you, I've been dealing with this for over a year, and I know Christian, a couple of things that I just wanted to lay out there. Number one, I still have orange lines in my house, okay, or along my house. But Christian has talked to the cities had put together a task force that we now are part of, that all of us are working together. I know that we have direct contact with the folks at WOW, but it's not just WOW, it's AT&T, it's Metro Pac or Metro whatever, and also the other one that you just mentioned. The thing that's frustrating, and this needs to be pointed out, and every one of us, and I know we have, but I wanted to point it out again, we don't have control over this. This is a state legislative requirement that they have the right to use the public right-of-way, and all we have right now is the acknowledgement of where they're going to go. And we can help the neighbors when they have a problem in getting back to WOW and all the others to let them know, try to get them in there to fix the problem. But this is not something that we permit. It's not something they come in and we say, okay. We have no control over this directly. And that's the one thing that we have to... And Christian, we had one citizen that Kate sent a letter to, our attorney sent a letter to, letting them know about the statute because he was yelling and screaming at all of us. And he still called back and yelled and screamed some more that why aren't we doing anything? So the people need to understand that this is a state legislature mandate that happened, I believe, in 2012, 2013. I can't remember exactly when. I wasn't there. I want to make sure of that. But people know. But I'm sorry?
Shocking.
Yeah. Well, please, I would have voted against this, that they are saying they're taking away the right of the local government and preemption and telling them that they can use the public right-of-way. And they need to know that we will help, but we aren't in control here.
Correct.
And that's one of the problems that you have when you take away local control of public right-of-way.
Right. It's under the franchise agreement process. And so, yes, thank you for that. All right, next up is public comment. Dominique, do we have any public comments today?
We have two. First will be Michael Haggerty and then Robert Warner.
Okay, if you gentlemen would line up, I'll take whichever one wants to go first. If you'll give us your name, address, topic in which you're going to speak on today.
Thank you.
You will be given 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Michael Haggerty. I live at 9838 Lake Louise Drive, Windermere, and I wanted to talk a little bit about animals. I'm an animal lover, a passionate animal lover, and when I retired nearly 20 years ago, I decided that was what I wanted to spend my time being involved with. I know you've had discussions with Best Friends, and obviously I know some of those folks. I'm not affiliated with Best Friends, other than as a donor, and I would say as a friend. I support many animal charities, including Pet Alliance here in Seminole County and Orlando. I have, however, visited Best Friends Sanctuary a number of times, and I would, just because I know you're in discussions and possibly may work with them or other people, it is the most wonderful place you could ever be in your life. It's 3,000 acres in Utah with up to 2,000 animals roaming around. There's every kind of animal there, from dogs and cats and bunnies and pigs and parrots and horses and donkeys. But it's truly a spiritual place. And if you're ever down in that part of Utah, you have a chance to visit some of the beautiful national parks that are there, I would suggest you also go and visit Best Friends. I was fortunate, slightly different subject, I was fortunate to attend the Animal Control Board meeting in December, and the discussion was very good. But I was driving home afterwards, and at the end of the meeting, one of the gentlemen on the panel had said, well, we must talk about this again in March. And I was driving home and I thought, by March, there's probably going to be another 300 or 400 animals that have been put down. So what is there? What's the way that we can accelerate, get a task force that moves things along quickly? And I realize change takes time, but I would really like to suggest maybe there's a way of making things happen faster. I have one recommendation I'd like to make to the commissioners, and that is to change the name of the Animal Control Board to the Animal Welfare Board. I can't help but think of that 1001 Dalmatian movie with the guy in the truck who collects the dogs off of the street, who's the animal control. To me, it's a somewhat old-fashioned term, and that people involved with the board would have more clearer sense of what their mission is if it was the Animal Welfare Board. So that's it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
Thank you.
Next up, please.
First off, I hope you guys had a great Christmas and a New Year with your families or wherever you guys decide to go. Robert Warner, 2550 Apartment B, Hartwell Avenue, Sanford, Florida. My name is Robert Warner. I'm the campaign manager for Chase Save Seminole. As a resident of Seminole County for the past 5 years, I come here before you today with a heartfelt story and a plea for change. Allow me to share a personal story. Growing up in state custody, also known as foster care, for the public that doesn't know, I faced the challenges of not only having parents, but the added burden of bullying by children. In those difficult times, my solace came from an enormous black lab named Buddy, owned by my foster mother. Buddy, through his companionship in my childhood, sad to admit, he was my only friend. He would patiently listen to me, nudge me when I sensed sadness, and rest his head in my lap. Won't ever forget it as an 8-year-old child being in foster care for approximately 7 years. The connection with Buddy helped me through the toughest moments of my childhood. The reason I share this story is I think it is so important, not only that all humans have the opportunity for a relationship or friendship like this, regardless of their background, but also that as many animals as possible have the opportunity to live in a safe environment. Unfortunately, we know that many of these animals are being euthanized at the shelter. These animals do not have the opportunity, like myself, to share their story or have a voice. I come before you today to humbly request that you not only listen to my story, but also to the hundreds of messages that you guys have received throughout the months, all urging for life-saving changes. With the combined efforts of the community and the support of Best Friends Animal Society and the collaboration with the shelter leadership and your guidance as government officials, I believe we can make a difference and increase the number of animals leaving the Seminole County Animal Shelter alive each year. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Any comments, Commissioner Herr, and I have one as well, and then Commissioner Lockhart.
I'd like to ask Alan or somebody to come up and get fact on the record. The insinuation that hundreds of dogs are going to die animals between now and March is offensive.
Ludicrous.
And possibly which is completely inaccurate. The name of the department is Animal Services. I may have referenced it wrong 5 minutes ago, so I'll give you that, because I'm probably the age of the Dalmatians movies, just so you know. But it's Animal Services, and it expands well beyond kennels.
Well, for the record, Alan Harris, Director of Emergency Management, Animal Services. I have with me Stephen Lerner. He is currently the interim Animal Services Division Manager and proudly is wearing 101 Dalmatian socks tonight. So it's just very interesting that y'all happen to be discussing the Dalmatians. So let me start with what is a no-kill shelter. So the definition of a no-kill shelter is a shelter that does not kill healthy and treatable animals. Now, there's a lot of definitions out there, but let me say a couple of them. A no-kill shelter is an animal shelter, and I'm reading this right from American Humane Society, Animal Humane Society. A no-kill shelter is an animal shelter that does not kill healthy and treatable animals based on time limits, capacity, and reserves euthanasia for terminally ill animals, animals suffering from poor quality of life, and those considered dangerous to public safety. On the website of the campaign, it says that Change Save Seminole is a community movement to end the unnecessary killing of healthy and or treatable dogs and cats at our local shelter. Here's the numbers. We took in 6,779 animals, dogs and cats last year. We did other animals as well.
Excuse me, Alan, can you put those numbers on the screen?
Well, they might be troubling.
Okay.
I don't know if you can cast it there that quick.
He wasn't prepared for coming up. I just called him
He's
up.
going to have to get a slide.
Yeah, I would have to create this. But it's only a couple numbers. There's
As long as we get it on the record,
Let me
just
give you
go ahead, Alan.
three numbers, all right? 6,779 animals came into the shelter. We are an open shelter. That means we get, and you know it, you've talked about deer today, you've talked about other types of animals. We get all types of animals into our shelter, and they are not in all wonderful conditions. The chairman saw one of, and I will not show the photo to everybody else, but the chairman saw a photo of one that came in on Sunday, and most shelters would have euthanized that animal. Our vet tech sat with this animal, putting cream on it and moisturizing it after severe burns, after someone had severely burned it. That's all I'll say. Last Friday, we received another, and we get these, unfortunately, as you've seen on a couple of times, relatively often, unfortunately. But and this one was emaciated to the point where it couldn't stand up. We were initially going to take it to an emergency vet. We took it over to the emergency vet. The emergency vet said that it's touch and go, probably won't even make it till Monday. Our vet tech stayed up all night long to keep this dog alive. 0 is the number I want to give you. 0 number is the number of euthanized animals due to space in our shelter. 0.
Just like that blank piece of paper there.
We have
animals.
Yes, thank you.
Got it.
We have euthanized 0 due to breed. We have euthanized 0, none, due to length of stay. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because I know these people, these vet techs. Nicole is an amazing, she's an angel. And to say that they're not doing enough. Do we euthanize? Yes, we're an open shelter. We euthanize. We euthanize because we get injured animals that come in all the time. They're brought in by people, they're brought in by our officers, they're brought in because they just got hit by a car. All of those animals, 1,280 last year, that's a lot. All of those animals were assessed by a vet, our medical team, and determined that they were not going to make it, or their quality of life was going to be so bad. Now, 2 of those is Peanut and Chaco, my dogs. One had cancer, one was just severely old. All right? We have euthanized due to aggression. Our primary purpose at Animal Services is the public safety of the dogs and cats in our care, as well as other animals, as well as the public in general. So if a dog is going to, and has already bitten or maimed or hurt someone, we're not going to do a meet and greet with a family where it could maim or a child and put them in the hospital. We cannot do that. This is an area where we can do a little work, and we're going to be doing a little work. Last year total, we euthanized 648 animals due to aggression. This is assessed also by our vet team, our adoption coordinator, and our shelter manager. None of these decisions are done lightly. It is a lot of euthanasias. It is. But we don't get animals that are at the store. That's just, and of all the times, and I'm going to get on my soapbox, so sorry, County Manager. Of all the times to launch a campaign like this, 2023 was arguably one of the worst years in the shelter history. A house with 32 cats and 26 dogs and 15 bags out back with multiple carcasses in it, and I'll never forget that smell in my life. And almost every single one of them we've adopted. Another, animal cruelty, emaciated animals, 39 dogs, all will be adopted. We're doing the space and neuters tomorrow. I got it cleared with the county attorney and the court system. We're going to start doing space and neuters. Most all of those will be adopted by us, some transferred to some rescues. So to say we're not doing enough,
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lockhart?
So, yeah, don't go anywhere, Alan. So I'm going to just be very candid, because I feel like, we have entertained this specific volunteer, I'll use air quotes, group, interest in providing us support now for many months. And I'm not interested in entertaining it anymore. I'm just going to throw that out there, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you multiple reasons why. One is this group created the Change Save Seminole Facebook group, complete with logo, before they had ever even reached out to our emergency management team. And that's documented, because you can see when a Facebook page is created, go to page transparency and you look when it was created. The date was October 2nd, 2023. Alan got the first email from that group asking to have contact with them after that date. So we were already identified as a target. A logo had already been created. And I don't think it mattered what information we had. The decision was made. A problem was created before there was a right.
I think Commissioner Herr summed that up on the very first time, that there was a solution looking for a problem.
A solution looking for a problem.
Fundraising solution.
And I have looked at this group's 990. While their 2020, their last one on the IRS webpage is 2020. I did find their 2021 on another webpage. They have over $100 million in assets, including a hotel in the Virgin Islands. So if they would like to come and rescue all of the animals in Seminole County and give them wonderful homes and buy a piece of property here and do the wonderful thing that they're doing in Utah here in Seminole County to save all the animals here, they have the assets and the resources to do that. And if you as a donor want to look at their 990, you can do that. That's a public record. The way that this group has approached us, the county attorney was on a Zoom call Teams call along with Mr. Harris and Mr. Lerner with me. And what I would describe the tone to be was, you will accept our offer to help or else. So I never got to what the or else was, but the clear implication to me is that this bombardment of social media campaign and everything that they have invested their time, energy, and resources into, focused on Seminole County, is for their own purposes, in my mind. And I don't desire to work with an organization as a partner, air quotes, that behaves this way. So I'm out.
Commissioner Constantine.
Thank you. Mr.
And I'll
Chairman.
wrap it up.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I want you to know the two individuals that are here today, have nothing to do. We appreciate and I understand the kind-heartedness, but I just want to take a different approach, because Alan, you and I have talked about this before, and I'm just going to go down a litany of things, and you can just agree. Were we not the first county to do reports on Greyhound injuries?
Yes.
And had to go to court to make sure to do it. We were one of the first counties in the state to do the chicken ordinance. We were one of the first counties, if not the first county, to try to eliminate puppy mills. We have a rule, no exotic live animal shows. We were the first in the state to do the bear ordinance, urban ordinance. We have a no sale, only adoption in all of our pet stores, which all the other counties have tried to do and couldn't do. We have a registry of animal abusers. We have the Humane Society has gone out and given us an award for all the things that we've done, and that organization's own lobbyist is having, if not quit, is having a problem with their concerns. I just needed to say all of that and to say that we are a leader in protection of animals, and I'm tired too.
You forget the aggressive dog ordinance as well.
Okay, and another one.
And the abuser registry.
I said the registry.
And the hobby breeder.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, and the hobby breeder. I mean, the list goes on.
And it goes on. I just listed a few for the sake of time.
Understood, and thank you. Thank you. Well, Mr. Warner, I'd like you to pay close attention. I think you've heard what this commission has had to say, and here's what I'm going to say. I've sat back and I observed the activity that your organization has undertaken. I will say it's nothing short of extortion or attempted extortion by an entity trying to raise money from its donors under the false pretense that this organization in this county is not doing good work and not doing the people's work. You would not find 5 people so loving of animals, the things that we have done. You continue to endeavor upon this extortion campaign from your donors all over the country, from places that don't even know where Seminole County is. Some of them probably don't even know where Florida is at on the map. We understand that. We understand your game. So here's what I will offer to you. If your organization wants to come, we'll help you with the permitting process. We'll help you with finding a location. You can set up your own animal shelter. You can handle all the pets and animals that you desire and overflow from us and surrounding counties. Or you can fly one of your lavish jets into the Orlando Sanford International Airport, and we can load those up and you can handle those back to Utah. So I think it's been pretty clear from what we've all said, we have no interest in doing business with your organization, and your extortion campaign is a shame and a crime on the taxpayers of this county for the amount of time it's taken away from these individuals who are trying to help the same entities that you claim we are not helping. So with that, I'll close the public hearing. We're done for the day.
No.
No, you're not responding.
But I will,
Sir, we're done. You're done today.
I will get it on the record that it is my understanding that these two gentlemen are volunteers for an organization.
He is an employee.
Are you an
Mr. Warner's
employee?
an employee.
Okay. You are a volunteer for this organization speaking out on behalf of animals, and we appreciate you caring that much to be here. Understood. Just don't want to paint with a broad brush here.
Correct.
But
Okay. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank all your staff, and
Thank you,
please
Alan.
apologize to them for the unfortunate events they've had to endure, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Warner. We're going to close the hearing. Everybody have a good day.
All right. Thank you.